Ask any more out of each and every guy in that room, from the effort side, the coaches, their preparation. We went into spring training again, as we have the last couple of years, with people saying you're going to lose 100 games. You're not going to be very good. And the first day of spring training, the one thing you tell those guys is that's not true. But we got to go prove it. We're better than people think we are. And are we happy where we are? No, not even close. Because we should have won more games. We were in position to win more games. We didn't do it. So we got to figure out a way to get better. We got to figure out a way to win here. This is a place where you got to be a team when people come into New York knowing they're going to be in a battle. And so that's going to be the chore. That's going to be the task, certainly, as you move forward here, is making sure that the guys still believe that they can get the job done and go and play accordingly. But I'm really proud of the way those guys played this year, the effort and the way they hung in every game. So, we just got to continue to improve and continue to, hopefully our young players can, get better as we get along. We know we got some good pitching coming, and truly believe that you're good enough to win.
Mike Piazza Day here. His significance as you see it to the franchise.
Well, obviously, my background's a Dodger too. So, if you heard all the stories about Mike Piazza when he was a young kid, he certainly warrants today, because here's a guy who was not a very highly sought after junior college player, made himself the greatest offensive player and offensive catcher in the history of the game. So certainly deserving of all he's done here, all of the big hits that he had here. You got to be. These are the kind of guys you root for. With what they had to go through to be a good player. And Mike was willing to sacrifice all those things because he wanted to be the best, and he turned out to be the best.
He's mentioned about playing better here. After watching another season of it, this has been an issue for the last several seasons, really. What have you learned about what types of players fit in this place? Because what works here and what doesn't?
Well, this is a hard place to hit, Mark. It's a big park. It's still a big park, even though we've made it much fairer with the adjustments we've made. So one of the things I've looked at is I've gone back and looked to try to find out the guys who hit good here. And one of the real generalities you find are guys who use the whole field to hit, who just try to put the ball in play. Don't worry about hitting it over the fence. Don't worry about, hey, look, I just want to put a good swing on the ball. You look at Dan Murphy is a prototypical guy. He's got very, very good numbers here in Citi Field. Why? Because he can hit the ball from that line to that line. And that's all he tries to do. And therefore it adds up. And it doesn't matter what the count is. He doesn't think about hitting the ball over the fence. He thinks about putting a good swing on the ball and trying to hit it somewhere. And his numbers add up. And I think that's a trait we have to move forward when we get to spring training. We got to, hey, look, we have to use a two-strike approach where we use the field more and just try to put the ball in play. Because if you put the ball in play, you can be dangerous. And I think Dan and David's the same way. David has good numbers here. Why? Because he'll hit the ball right field when he needs to. Or if that's all they're going to give him is balls away, then hit the ball over there. That there's no one-dimensional thing that they are. And when you can do that, you'll be able to hit here.
Terry, speaking of Wright and Murphy, are you going to get them out at some point during the game?
Yeah, most likely.
Is that designed in part to let the fans salute them?
Yes, they certainly, I know David's been down for 7 weeks, but I'll tell you what, Dan Murphy certainly deserves it. The year he's had and what he's done here, 161 games, you play the middle of the infield, that's a lot of games. You won't see that very often.
You want to get him out to the field to begin the inning and just before it starts?
Well, I don't know. Hopefully he gets on later in the game and we can get him out.
Terry, with or without Harvey healthy, what's your message to Mets fans who next year want to be in the pennant race?
Well, Bruce, I'll tell you, we've been talking about 2014 for 2 years. Everybody got to see the pieces. Certainly Matt was a major one. We all hope he will certainly rehab himself and be okay. But we got to see how good Wheeler may be, and I think he's going to get better. You've got to see a couple of young position players come up who are the future. The other day, there was a number of Sterling Award winners here from the minor leagues that are the future guys, that it's coming. And it's certainly, we know we've got a lot of pitching coming. We think we've got some position players coming. And now it's a matter of keeping them healthy and going out and execute. But, the talk's pretty much over now. It's time to go get it done on the field.
What's the immediate itinerary for Matt Harvey? Does he go down to Port St. Lucie starting tomorrow? And I know Sandy had floated the Arizona Fall League. Is it more concrete that he may end up pitching there?
Adam, right now, I think Matt is going under some pretty intense rehabilitation at the hospital here, HSS, with the physical therapist. When they feel he's ready to begin the throwing program, he will go to Florida. We hope that's soon. I can't give you a date. We hope it's very soon. Once he gets down there and starts the throwing program, we'll see what the stages are, where he's at. But he has got to go pitch someplace. He's got to go throw, and I don't know. That's why the Arizona Fall League was brought up, because I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to determine his status thrown on the side. I think we've got to somehow get some intensity and some meaningful situations to see how he comes out of it.
Terry, you mentioned before seeing some of the young pieces this season, with two in particular, Zach and Travis. What do you want them to work on these next 3-4 months before spring training?
Well, they now know what it's going to take here, and obviously outside after some rest, Travis he's pretty tired. He's getting, he hadn't played half the season, and now he's been playing almost every day in the big league. So I'm giving him today off to let him go into the season. We're going to talk about, hey, come to spring training next year in great shape, strengthen up the knee, He's going to be another half season or a season off of surgery. Make sure that, you come into camp and knowing that, hey, look, this is my job to win. And don't take it for granted, but come into camp that way. And Zach, we've already talked to him about his throwing programs this winter. And to make sure that he takes a break from it and get into the throwing program starting in January, so that when you come to spring training, when you step on that mound, you're ready to go. So, but they've proved they can certainly succeed at this level, and I think it'll be fun to get down there and see them as they are a year older.
Terry, what about Lagares in that regard? Is he your center fielder in your mind going into spring training?
Well, he is right now. I don't think there's any question what he's done here, and I think, again, he's got 300 at bats up here. He certainly knows what he has to do. A couple of changes. He works hard at some things. So, again, I think a year out, there's been a lot of people that compare him to Carlos Gomez. I think that's a great comparison. They're very, very similar players. And we see that, through some experience, how good Carlos has gotten. And I think Juan's going to be the same way.
What would you